Hello my dear fellow developers. Today we're gonna make live this little delete button for our tag. We will connect our update item API with our front-end client. So let's start. The first thing we will do is to create new function here where we have our fetch photos, upload photos. So the new one will be updatePhoto. And this function is going to accept our data. For now, let's do it any. Then we will type it, and it is going to fetch. And the URL is going to be our API URL /update. Where it comes from, you can see in the previous video where we created a new API endpoint to update our picture data. Here we're gonna have this object for our method. Method gonna be post, and our body, it's gonna be just a string, as we decided in last video, and we will just stringify our data. So that's our updatePhoto function. Now let's start with our labels. They are in image list here. I'll zoom a bit. So here, image label map, we have these tags. So let's add our mutation for updating photo. Let's add it to this component. So here we're gonna do our use mutation, and first we need our query client. So here we're gonna create our mutation. Let's call it update photo mutation. We're gonna just use mutation, import it from the library, and then we pass the function that we use for our request. Let's import it as well. And here the second object is our callback functions. On success we can add. So when request is successfully fulfilled and we are getting response, let's just console log our response. And let's console log just little text so we understand what is it, where it comes from. Like photo updated. We will create a function on delete label, or just delete label without on. This function will accept label. It's gonna be string, and in this function we will call our mutation mutate. And what we're gonna pass here? Here we need to pass an ID of our image. Do we have it here? Actually, you know what? I think we need to refactor it a little bit and move this image, everything what is inside here, to move it in the separate component and do all this stuff there, not in the image list. So here it's gonna be image ID, not images list, image, but we don't have image here. So let's quickly refactor it. Let's create a new folder, image, then new file, and I'm gonna copy this stuff that we just added here. And the body of the image, the HTML G6 code is gonna be this. Yeah, I think so. So we return it here. And what we basically will pass here is just an image. So let's import everything that is missing. Use mutation. Oops. UpdatePhoto. We have this interface, so we can add it here. Okay, that's how it's gonna work, and it's gonna have ID as well. Link from React Router DOM. Let's just import our image here. Let's clean up the imports. Const image. And let's get rid of this, or rename it as well to the interface. Image equal image. Let's check our front end. Still works fine. So here now we can continue with our delete label. So we will put it on the link here, not on the link itself, but on this icon. We will create button. Hold on, click on it, and pass the delete label. Let's import button. Let's put the icon inside. And it is complaining because here it expects the function that has this React mouse event. Yeah, that's what it expects. And in our delete label, we're passing our label to see which label we delete. And this event we will also use to prevent default behavior. And now here we pass the label, and we want to delete it from the list of images labels. So we basically just filter it, image and filter L. something like that. I think we can try it now. Ignore the appearance of our button, so I wanted to click console. So I clicked and it returned photo updated, and if you refresh the page, nothing happened. Our label is not removed. Why? Because the sharp module is messing around. Let's check. We are getting bad request. Interesting. What's going on? The provided key element doesn't match the schema. Let's console log what exactly we provided that it does not match schema. I'm just gonna console log event body here. Okay, by some reason we don't get an ID. Because we do not have ID, we have primary key. Let's change it then. And let's try again. Now it is 200. So if we refresh, we see only one tag. The thing is that we don't want to refresh to see the updates. And to fix it, we can just reset our query or invalidate the query. Here in onSuccess response, we're gonna just query client. No, we need to create a query client first. And here we're gonna invalidate our photos query. So every time we delete the tag, we will refresh our query. Why it's not happy? v4, and that's here. Query key to do's. Okay, so it is changed. Query key photos. Now let's check it. Let's delete something from this one. And you see it disappeared immediately without refreshing the page. So our query got invalidated, and React query library just refetched everything. So we can delete the console log. And I remember we've got our any type here. So I would like to change it, and it should be this image interface. Let's refactor a little bit and move it to types, to separate place. Let's create types, image, JS, and let's put it here, export and import. And the same is here. And it seems URL primary key. Okay, and here it can be partial. It's from TypeScript. This utility type lets us tell that the data here can be just partial of the image interface, and you see it's all green now. Delete label is working now. The next step is to make our name to be editable. Oh yeah, wait, and we want to make this button to look better, because now it looks a bit ugly. So let's go to our button component. I want to add new prop light. It means that will be light version of the button. I'm gonna use the library class names to be able to work with classes more conveniently, to work with conditional classes. So let's install it. So we installed it, and oh, I installed it to the wrong place. Yarn remove. So let's install it to our client. And what we're going to do with our button is to add here condition. So these classes we will add if our button is not light. Yeah, class names. Like this. And if our button is light, then our class names will be just padding. And let's see how it looks now. Okay, connection to backend. Need to run backend. Oh, and we need to add actual light prop to the button here. Or we can just do it like this in case of boolean. And now it looks better. Just probably the padding is too big. Maybe let's do it P1. Yeah, now it's better. And so we click and label is deleted. We can use absolutely the same approach to add our labels, but I will not show how to do it. I suggest you do it yourself, so it's kind of your homework. Add some kind of an input, text input here with a button that will add a new label to our picture. I will just move forward to renaming the picture. And for the picture name, picture title, let's create a new component that will show us text input when we are in editing state, and just a string with a text with a name when we are in the state when we are not editing anything. So let's create the component. I'll call it editable text. It will accept the value property, and it's gonna return an text input. Let's wrap into the div. I will style it with styling CSS again, so I will just copy over the class names. You can style it whatever you want, however you want. And as a value, we're gonna pass the value. Let's create an interface for our props. And let's import it in our image to use it here. And as a value, we pass image name. And you can see it changed to the text input. So let's now add the state here. The state is editing and set is editing. So by default, when we are not editing, so by default it's going to be false. And we add here the condition. If we are editing, we return all this stuff, and if we are not, we will just return the value. And it is complaining that we're returning string. Let's return. And now it is all looking the same as before. Now let's add the button edit for our text here. Actually, let's make it a div, and here we will add a button. And on click on this button, we're gonna set our is editing to the true. So like that. And for this input, we will add button as well that is gonna save our changes. It's gonna be just another function, save text. I'll create it here. One thing it's gonna do is to set is editing back to false. And the main thing we're gonna do here is to pass the new value to our API to send a request to save our input value. So let's create the state for this as well. Call it new value and set new value. By default, it's gonna be original value. And let's replace it here, and let's add on change here, and in on change we're just gonna set new value. Let's see now, if we edit and we try to change it, it is changing. And now in the parent component, in the image, we're going to add another mutation here. No, we're going to add another function here using our mutation. Let's just copy it. And let's call it rename image. Here it's going to be the new name. And in our mutation, we still will need to pass an ID. Here we're gonna pass old name, and new name is gonna be this parameter. So this TypeScript is complaining now because our updatePhoto expects this image interface, but we can actually add new name string to it, and it should be happy now. So this rename image we will pass to the editable text component. Let's call it onSave. So onSave, we're gonna call our rename image, and an editable text here, adding the type. We added the type. Now let's add it to this save text. Let's call this onSave handler here. And we will pass our new value. Check it again. And let's rename it, save it. And it is updated. Amazing. The next thing is left here is not working. is this delete button on image, and in the next video we are gonna implement deleting our image. If it was useful for you, please hit the like button, subscribe, and stay with us for the next videos.